Hello and welcome to everyone to our first ever crypto journey session. We will be hosting this talk every Thursday during your lunch hour, so you can tune in with us while you're having your lunch break. First, let me introduce myself. I'm Merlinda, one of the team here at Dasset, and I will be your host for the launch of our weekly crypto journey talk. Each and every week, we will be doing a presentation, a hands-on demo so that you can get better and you can navigate better with the world of crypto. So for today's crypto talk, let me introduce our very own Dasset CEO, Stephen. Without giving much away, Stephen will be covering a topic of the upcoming trends in crypto, what we have seen since 2020 and what we think is in store for us next in this industry. So let me hand it over to you, Stephen.
Thank you so much, Merlinda, and thank you everyone for attending. I'm really looking forward to giving these presentations over the next few months, and this one will be at a high level. So we're going to really go over everything that's been going on in crypto, and I'm really excited to show the demo at the end, because the demo is going to it's going to have pretty much everything that's happening in the crypto space, and so there'll be a lot to take in. But after this session, what we will be doing is a presentation that focuses on just one tiny aspect of what I demoed today, so you kind of have an idea of what we'll be doing. So what's happening in crypto? Before we go into that, if you're not aware, Dasset is a trading platform in New Zealand. We have about 80 different digital assets trading on our platform. We've done about $150 million in trade volume over the last few months, or over the last few years. And we're always looking for new assets to list on Dasset. You can see here our top traded assets. Bitcoin has always kind of ranged in that 55, 60, 65% in terms of trade volume. Ethereum is also pretty high at about 20%. Usually it's a lot higher, but you know, over the last few months, we've seen other digital assets like Dogecoin blowing up in popularity. And then after Ethereum and Doge, and of course that third spot varies week to week and month to month. Dogecoin volume isn't usually this high consistently, and so after the two, Bitcoin and Ethereum, it really varies. Let's look at what is happening in the greater crypto ecosystem. So the last 9 years, you see that Bitcoin has performed 8 out of the 9 years better than the previous year, and continues to trend in a positive direction. And a big part of that is global adoption, easier on-ramps, and people understanding that Bitcoin makes sense. You know, now it's not this magical thing that in the ether that you can't touch or hold, that it's actually something that is scarce and can have value. And they say about 10 years after a new asset is created before institutional investors start entering in the market. And that's kind of what we've started to see over the last year and a half, are institutional investors. In fact, in North America, since July of 2020, about 90% of transactions there have been institutional buyers or sellers. And so we certainly see a lot more interest from those traditional businesses that are looking at this as a new asset class to diversify and hedge their risks against other assets. So if you haven't heard, DeFi has been one of the biggest trends of the last 18 months. Since about February last year, there was about $500 million in funds locked in decentralized finance smart contracts. Today, that's about 150 billion USD. And so that has had enormous growth over the last 18 months. And DeFi is primarily around a few different use cases. And so one of the big ones is trading. So rather than trading on a centralized exchange like Dasset, you can access digital assets that may not be listed on centralized exchanges yet, because they're utilizing decentralized exchanges. Lending has also taken a very big and positive growth, where people can now put crypto like Ethereum and Bitcoin down as collateral and borrow stable coins like US dollar stable coins to use them today. So you don't have to sell your cryptocurrency today and cash out. You know, if you think that we're going to have more of a digital economy in the future, and you believe that we're just getting started in the crypto movement, then you may not want to spend and use your crypto today, but you might still want to spend money. And so now you can put your crypto up as collateral and borrow. On the flip side, you can also give other people crypto to borrow, whether it's stable coins or crypto, to and earn yield. So there's definitely some opportunities on both sides of the coin where you can borrow, and of course you have to pay some interest. You can also lend and earn passive income. We'll go a little bit more into this, but looking at the DeFi journey over the last 10 years has been quite interesting, because we're still just getting started. But these ideas aren't new. They've been around for a very long time. And initially, back in 2012, when I first got into Bitcoin, there was no terminology for blockchain. So there was Bitcoin and Bitcoin. Bitcoin with a lowercase b was the unit of account that resided on Bitcoin, the uppercase b, which was the network or underlying ledger and infrastructure. So it wasn't until that uppercase b Bitcoin became blockchain that ideas started really flowing. And somebody by the name of Vitalik Buterin wrote an incredible article in around 2013 for Bitcoin Magazine that outlaid something called a decentralized autonomous organization, or a DAO. And with this evolution and thought process and innovation and ideas, there was a need for moving beyond this technology just used for money or payments. And so that was where the materialization of Ethereum came from, as an all-purpose platform that people could develop applications on top of that weren't necessarily related to finance or money. And so a perfect example of that is, if you understand the importance behind blockchain, is that it's created scarcity in the digital world for the first time. And it took about 40 years of technological development for this to be enabled. And Bitcoin was that first use case. But now we can see that different use cases can be applied, such as digital identity. So within New Zealand, the Department of Internal Affairs is looking at digital identity. If you think about your passports and licenses, they're very similar to checkbooks 20 years ago. They're analog, and the big reason why is because we haven't found the technology to prevent the counterfeiting of data. But now we have. And so governments all over the world are utilizing this technology to do away with things like passports and licenses in the analog world, which are pretty easy to counterfeit in the analog world, for something that's digital, because they're a lot more difficult to counterfeit and a lot easier to keep track of. There may be some additional implications here, both positive and negative, but we won't really go into those today. So with Ethereum, the first smart contract was built on it, and it was, some may say it was a failure, but I think it was both a positive thing, and I think we can look at it positive and negatively. We saw how fragile smart contracts can be. And so the DAO was a smart contract on Ethereum that was exploited for something like $100 million. And this resulted in the entire Ethereum network forking and changing their systems to essentially unwind that hack, which is something that was extremely controversial. And it took Ethereum a long time to recover from that, many years. But they started that process, and they showed us what we need to look out for and be wary of. And so after that, a company came out with the concept called Prism, which was meant to be a non-custodial asset management solution using smart contracts. At the time, Shapeshift was the counterparty, but they were way ahead of their time, being able to come out with a product that could actually be applied. And then decentralized exchanges emerged with Ether Delta, and that was the ability to trade digital assets on Ethereum without losing custody of your funds. And that was kind of the big shift in movement towards more smart contracts, more development, more of this emergent DeFi economy. Then we started seeing lending emerge with MakerDAO, and they essentially enable you to put up Ethereum and now a number of different assets as collateral and generate a stable coin. It's almost like being your own bank. Then somebody came out with a game called Cryptokitties, and with Cryptokitties, we created something called NFTs, or non-fungible tokens, which I'll go into. So in future presentations, what we will be doing are demos on each one of these concepts. So we'll do a demo specifically to automated market makers, decentralized exchanges, and how to provide liquidity, and go into a concept called impermanent loss. So we'll go into much deeper detail when we start looking at these in future crypto journey events. So a lot of this has evolved where these different pieces have started to come together like Lego. And so a decentralized exchange for fungible tokens like Ethereum has now enabled decentralized exchanges for NFTs. And then another concept called yield farming, which is really popular in a way to attract liquidity to an ecosystem. And we'll have an event that focuses just on that as well. And so now we're at a point where everyone is looking at Ethereum because of the hundreds of billions of dollars that it is being traded on Ethereum, and not many other platforms are, actually none of the other platforms are competing with Ethereum at the same level. And so we're entering a platform wars where other platforms are trying to compete with Ethereum. Some of their products aren't launched yet, or the technology is still under development, but they do pose some threats to Ethereum, and I think we'll go into detail on those at some point in the future as well. So decentralized exchanges, well, this isn't the case anymore as in terms of Uniswap being the biggest and only one out there. There are many decentralized exchanges now, and a lot of them are on a number of different platforms, so they're cross-platform. But Uniswap is doing more trading volume than Coinbase. Coinbase was or is a centralized exchange in the US that went through an IPO in May. Actually, I believe it was the 15th of May is when they did their IPO. And at the same time, that was also when Bitcoin hit its highest price point this year. And Bitcoin has been on a downward trend since then, with a little bit of a recovery over the last few weeks. But in terms of decentralized exchanges, they are really building the fundamental architecture of our financial future. And so a lot of systems are revolving around these DEXs. And I'll show you a little bit more by what I mean in the demo. So platform wars, right? That's what we're seeing over the next few months, over the last few months, and probably over the next year. Ethereum by far has the most amount of transactional volume on its platform. And this has caused problems. If you have transacted on Ethereum, there's been a lot of congestion on the network, and that's caused really high transaction fees. These high transaction fees have prevented the little guys, prevented people who want to transact a few dollars, a few cents, or even $10 or $100. And so this has shifted value onto competing platforms and has kept only basically the people who are moving thousands, tens, millions of dollars on Ethereum. And so liquidity and movement of assets are going in every direction right now. So a lot of them are going to layer 2 solutions on top of Ethereum, like Matic or Polygon. And then some are going to Binance Smart Chain. Binance Smart Chain launched in October last year, and it's a trade-off from Ethereum. There's kind of this trifecta between scalability, decentralization, and security. And Binance Smart Chain is a lot more centralized, but also has a lot more transaction throughput and a lot lower fees. And so there's been a lot of experimentation on Binance Smart Chain on projects that have had ideas for a very long time, but they haven't really been able to prove their ideas. And so now that's been happening. A lot of people do not like Binance Smart Chain for its centralization. So they're building bridges to other networks. And so another one is Cardano. Cardano is a very scientific chain where they still have yet to release their smart contracts, but there's a lot of optimism there. Polkadot is something that is a big potential competitor to Ethereum, and a lot of development is happening there. A lot of people are developing smart contracts, and the people who are doing that are institutions. So we are seeing some big companies in the space building on Polkadot, even though there hasn't been a lot of liquidity moving there. Same thing with Solana. So Solana is kind of well, I guess all of these, and we don't really know which ones are going to succeed in the future and which ones are not. It's a mix of a number of features from community interest and involvement, technology. The best technology doesn't always win. Being at the right place at the right time will be part of it. Use easy onboarding for users, and part of it is luck as well. We just don't know, and it's kind of similar to the beta versus VHS battles right now, and it's becoming a little bit tribal. So people are taking sides, and you can see them attacking each other. So bridges are really being developed right now. There are few bridges, but they are essentially enabling applications and application tokens to transition from one blockchain to another, from one network to another. And that's actually something we're going to do in the demo today. We're going to bridge some Ethereum to Binance Smart Chain. And so applications are realizing that they don't really know which protocols are going to be around in the future, but they have these ideas, and they want their ideas in the world today, and they want to test and experiment with their applications. And so they're building their applications without really having an idea of which blockchain is going to be working in the future. And so they're working with these bridges and enabling people to access the applications from a number of different blockchains, and rather than just being beholden to one protocol or one blockchain. So if you haven't heard, non-fungible tokens have really taken off. I recommend, there's a Saturday Night Live skit on it. I think NFTs have become very popular in the public lexicon, so popular that people are throwing it around and all over the place. So that's pretty exciting. There's actually an NFT museum here, art museum here in Auckland. I believe it's running, started running last month. I think it's running to October. I haven't seen it yet, but you can go and see digital art at a art gallery in Auckland that showcases some of the NFTs that are out there. But surprisingly, the most popular, maybe unsurprisingly, have been sports and collectibles. So we've seen most major sports organizations jump into the space. We haven't seen the All Blacks yet. We haven't seen a lot on the rugby side, but we have seen organizations like Formula One. And then, of course, in the US, we've seen NBA and NFL, and we've seen soccer or football teams and players get involved, and musicians. So the NFT craze is not slowing down, and it's actually starting to pick back up over the last few months. You might look at Bitcoin and think that the market is in a downtrend, but when you look at some areas of the industry, like the NFT space, you'll see a lot of buzz and excitement. And so we've seen a combination of these technologies, DeFi merging with NFTs to create something called GameFi. And this is enabling a new concept called play to earn. And if you've ever heard of games, online games that you first had to pay for software, you have a CD, you download it, and then you can play, and that kind of transitioned to something called free to play, where you get half the product for free, and they rope you in, and then they start charging you microtransactions to your credit card. Now there's a new concept where you can essentially own the assets in the games that you play. In addition to being able to own the assets in the games that you play, you can own the time that you create, and essentially the investment that you make in the game. So your contribution to that gaming ecosystem is time, and of course time is money. And so now you have ownership over that, and can take that to other games. So we're seeing interoperability between games, building the ability for gamers to have control over the future of the games that they're playing, and to be able to monetize their gaming. And so it's really incredible to see, because we've seen one game, Axie Infinity, kind of lead the play to earn space. And you can see here in the Business Times, this was about a month ago, are play to earn games a fair gig in the digital economy or low wage exploitation? So, we're seeing journalists question whether enabling people to earn income by playing games is exploitation. And I think the reason why is when a lot of people who are benefiting from these games are people in the Philippines and Indonesia and South America and Africa, who are earning $4, $5, $6 a day playing these games, as opposed to what they're making locally, which is half or a third of that. And so last month, if you look at all the applications, all the decentralized applications out there, this game, Axie Infinity, brought in more revenue than all of them, and almost more than the next two before it. And so there's definitely a trend happening with the development of this gaming ecosystem. And so it's really, I think this is where we're going to see over the next 8 months a convergence of technologies to enable gaming like we've never seen before. And a great example is we're seeing billion-dollar legacy gaming companies jumping in. For example, Ubisoft is running a validator node for Axie Infinity. On new game consoles like PlayStation 5, which was, I believe, just launched this year, end of last year, have 5 or 6 games launching towards the end of this year that incorporate NFTs and some DeFi elements. And so if you think about adoption for historic technologies, I think this is really exciting to help bring cryptocurrency into the world. If you look at technologies like Facebook and things like cell phones, different applications, usually the age group that's bringing these innovations to the world are in the 14 to 18-year-old range, because they're people in that age range. They don't have much to lose. They're malleable, so they're open to new ideas. They're willing to take higher risks. And so I think we're going to see, with this convergence of gaming and cryptocurrency, where it's going to help accelerate the adoption of cryptocurrency. If we looked in conversations 3 years ago in 2018, a lot of people talked about crypto adoption coming about through things like digital securities, so things like Apple stocks on the blockchain. But we see huge barriers to entry on the regulatory side, huge compliance issues, so it's making it very challenging for that to move forward. Taking real world assets like Picasso's and putting on the blockchain is a lot more difficult than creating a gaming asset within the blockchain space that can be instantly transferable and tradable. Something else that is trending, which I haven't really put in this presentation, is regulation. So there's a lot of talks around regulation on the DeFi space, particularly in the US, and that is something that we've yet to see what the fallout from that will be. In 2017, there was this ICO craze, initial coin offerings, and it took a good 2 years before the SEC started going after those projects that started looking like securities. So I think over the next 6 months or the next year and a half, we'll start seeing regulators having better idea of what's happening in DeFi and how it should be regulated. the only thing is we don't know how they're going to treat it. And, we do know that they will target the bad actors, the people who are deceiving, committing fraud, or creating blatant financial products that are not following regulations. And so on the flip side, I think this creates a lot more certainty and enables the industry to move forward and innovate without having that kind of gray shadow that the project you're working on is going to be fined or by a regulator. And so that's going to be constantly evolving and something we see over the next few years. Unfortunately, another really big trend is crypto scams. And we're seeing this across the board. A lot of it is coming around ransomware. So people who are downloading viruses onto their computer, and it's affecting entire networks. I believe a few weeks ago, it's targeted, or maybe a few months ago, it targeted a hospital network here in New Zealand. So it's not something that's happening, on the other side of the planet. It's something that is real and here today. And I think it's not really new scams per se, they're just repackaged. So, these types of scams have been around since the beginning of the internet. And scammers tend to be very innovative, and they're finding new ways to defraud people. So, for things like ransomware, it's highly encouraged that you never ever pay the ransom. Always back up your photos, back up your images, or back up your desktops, your computers, so that if your computer is hit with ransomware, you can recover your information without giving the scammers any value. So just keep an eye out. Another area that's being particularly hit are people in the age range of 60 and up. They're falling victim to things like romance scams and investment scams. If somebody is calling you to guarantee you a weekly, monthly, yearly investment, not only is it illegal in New Zealand, there's no way that they can possibly do that. If somebody is saying that they want a lottery and you have to pay them to get the earnings, you will be a victim of a scam if you do that. So please be very vigilant and make sure to let your friends and family know as well, so we can prevent money from going to these scammers. And then lastly, before I go into my demo, this is getting pretty big. So central bank digital currencies are being looked at by pretty much every central bank in the world. The Chinese central bank is leading the curve. They've generated about 20 million addresses in their testing and have transferred over $5 billion in the digital yuan. And so, so we're seeing, the Reserve Bank in New Zealand is looking at digital currencies, central bank digital currencies. We're seeing it in the ECB in Europe and the Federal Reserve in the US. So, so all the major players are looking at this, and a big benefit to them is transparency. They can manage the supply a lot better, and it could even create or pave the way for interesting things like universal basic income, and where they can essentially do something like quantitative easing directly into your phone. And so there's all kinds of interesting things that can come out of this. So now we're going to switch to the demo. And what we're going to do is demo a process of how to buy crypto on Dasset, withdraw it, bridge it to another blockchain, and then make a purchase for a gaming asset how to stake that gaming asset, and do some yield farming. So we're going to do a lot of stuff in this demo, and this is just a high level, and in the future we'll break down each step of the way. So let's get started. Just bringing up my share for my window. Okay, so we're going to go to Dasset first. What I have is a browser, a Chrome browser, and we'll be using a wallet called MetaMask. MetaMask is an app that you can, a browser extension that you can have directly tied to your browser. So let me just log into Dasset, log into a test account. I'm going to enter in my MFA. Highly recommend implementing this on your Dacid account. This will add additional security. So can you see my MetaMask wallet?
Yeah, we can see that right there.
Cool. So you can see my balances and all that good stuff. Cool. Excellent. Just making sure. Okay, so this is a test account. As you can see, I don't have any Ethereum. So what I'm going to do is probably buy some. I'm going to switch some Aave to ETH. Convert all of it. So now I have some Ethereum. Oops. And sorry, I'm going to withdraw it from my account. So I'm going to withdraw it to my MetaMask wallet. I highly recommend, if you use MetaMask, to do it with a hardware wallet, and we'll do a demo of that as well. This is just a demo account, so I'm doing it so we can do it very quickly, but we'll do one topic that's just on hardware wallets in the future. So I'm going to withdraw my Ethereum to my MetaMask wallet and submit. I'm going to enter in my two-factor security code that's on my phone. If you don't have MFA, then it will ask you to check your email to make the withdrawal. So I'm going to verify withdrawal confirmed. This is a live demo. What we are going to do is look at the blockchain. So this is the Ethereum. So this is called Etherscan. Etherscan is a blockchain explorer. So it's kind of like a Google for the blockchain. So you can look at basically every transaction that's ever happened on Ethereum here. So this is just a tool to look at transactions. We use, we're partnered with Bittrex. So as you can see, we use Bittrex for our wallet infrastructure. And so I made a withdrawal to this address about an hour ago, just so I have some funds in here so we can test it without having to wait for the withdrawal to come through. But you know, it should come in pretty quickly, and I'll show that in a few. But for now, what we're going to do is jump ahead to bridge the Ethereum from Binance, from the Ethereum network to the Binance Smart Chain network. And so what we're going to do is go to binance.org. Very different from the exchange Binance. And so what we're going to do is select bridge. And I'm going to connect my MetaMask wallet, and as you can see, it's my wallet. I'm just verifying it's the same thing. What we're going to bridge is Ethereum. You have to bridge at least 0.052. So what this means is I'm sending Ethereum to a smart contract maintained by this Binance Smart Chain bridge. When the smart contract validates that they have received Ethereum, they will send me the equivalent amount of Ethereum on Binance Smart Chain, which is a separate blockchain which uses very similar technology to Ethereum. Now, on Ethereum, I use ETH as the unit of account to spend coins, to make transactions, to execute smart contracts. On Binance Smart Chain, it's something called BNB, which is the Binance token. And so if I didn't already have BNB, I'd need to also switch to get some BNB so that I could actually transact on Binance Smart Chain. But I've already done that, so I'm not going to do that. But I am going to send the funds. I'm sending funds to this, the custodial smart contract, which is managed by Binance. You can see my fee, $3.34 USD, which is quite high, and something that Ethereum, the developers behind Ethereum are trying to work on. So there's still some problems, as you can see, and this is a big reason why we're bridging to Binance Smart Chain, because the fees are a lot lower. And so what I've done is I broadcast the transaction to the Ethereum network, and you can see right now it's waiting for the funds to actually show up. And so it takes a good few minutes. We'll go back here. Okay, so here you can see an hour ago I sent some ETH, test ETH into this address just so we had some available. I've already actually sent some ETH to a bridge about an hour or two hours ago. Now this third transaction is actually the withdrawal from my Dacid account. So that was me receiving the ETH. And then if I refresh, hopefully we'll see the transaction has yet to be sent from my wallet, but you can see it's still waiting to get broadcast to the Ethereum network. We're not going to wait around for that. What we're going to actually do is switch in MetaMask to Binance Smart Chain. And so you can see I already have some BNB there. We'll go and look at this, the Binance Smart Chain Explorer, which looks very similar. And you can see about 2 hours ago, I received, here we go. About 2 hours ago, I received the ETH that I sent on Ethereum. So I sent this ETH to the smart chain or to that custodial wallet, and here I received it. And so now I have some Ethereum. So now what I'm going to do is spend it. So I'm going to this project that has a number of elements that I talked about during the presentation. I'm going to connect my wallet. So this is a game that incorporates play to earn, it incorporates a decentralized exchange, it incorporates an NFT marketplace, and a few other technologies. And so what we're going to do is, so we're going to swap. So this is the decentralized exchange, and we're going to swap my Ethereum. Some Ethereum. I think I still need to connect my wallet. So once this is connected, it'll pick up the ETH that is in my wallet. Okay, hopefully. So it's picking up the ETH that's in my wallet right now because I've connected it. There we go. I'm going to buy some Rune. Oops. So I'm going to buy maybe, so as you can see, it's going to cost, so that Rune is a digital token on Binance Smart Chain that is runs this gaming ecosystem. So first I'm going to, approve this transaction or approve the my use of the Ethereum with their smart contract. And this is a decentralized exchange. So this is managed by smart contracts underneath. They use a decentralized exchange called PancakeSwap. And we'll go into specific detail of this in the future. Basically, I was waiting for that transaction to be confirmed on the blockchain, which it has. And I'm going to swap. So I'm using a decentralized exchange to convert some of my ETH to this digital token called Rune. Rune is a governance token for a game that is also an in-game currency. So they're going to be using it to buy different assets. And so with that, what I'm going to do is create an account. And by creating an account, I am essentially buying an NFT, which allows me to interact with the project. And so connect. There we go. I'm going to create a character. So these are different NFTs. These are like characters or heroes within your account. Again, I have to do this approval function. And I have to do this pretty much anytime I interact with the new smart contract. And what I'm doing is verifying that I can interact with the smart contract. That's where I have to make sure that the smart contracts I'm working with are legitimate. Otherwise, they'd be able to potentially take funds from my wallet. And so I'm creating an account. I'm basically buying an NFT. With this token, I'm minting a new NFT and creating a character, essentially. And so once this works, I think just going to move forward on this. I don't know, I'm going to create a name. Let's see, what's a good name? We'll do Hal Finney. Okay, if you don't know who Hal Finney is, he's a famous cryptographer. He received the first Bitcoin from Satoshi Nakamoto back in 2009. And really interesting character. Unfortunately, he passed away in the last 10 years. And some people think he might be Satoshi, but we don't really know. So basically, I'm spending their digital token to create an NFT. And with this NFT, I can now have a character that I can take into their games. And so after this, what I'm going to do is visit the Decentralized NFT Marketplace. I'm going to buy an NFT and equip it onto my character, and then you can kind of have an idea of how this all works. So now I'm heading to the marketplace. I'm going to find something cheap. I was going to actually mint an NFT for you guys, but I don't think I have enough time to do that. But there's a lot here to unpack. So this is a decentralized NFT marketplace. Each one of these is an NFT. The NFTs are essentially items that you can equip your character. I'm gonna, I think I got an item. And so basically what I'm going to do is buy this NFT. Oops. So I'm buying this NFT. So I just bought this gaming asset. It took, so I just sent the BNB and I'm receiving the asset. And then when I go to my inventory in the game, you can see here's my character, has no items, and I'm going to find an item, the item that I just bought. I just spent, I don't know, about 0.05 BNB. I don't know, maybe that's about 20 bucks for the item. And these items are unique, limited NFTs that people can create, can earn in the game, and it makes their character stronger. So once I have, once I am able to equip this character, I can take it into battle. I can, use it in a variety of different ways. And so each one of these items can be taken into a number of different games. And so what I'm showing you is actually a gaming protocol that are developing 5 or 6 different games, and you can take your assets from one game to another. So this is something that's never really been possible before. And basically what I'm doing is I'm equipping my hero, my character, with this item. And so now I'm making my character stronger. And I can share this with other people so they can see the attributes. I'm almost done because I do want to open this up to questions. But yeah, so now you can see I have a character, I have one weapon assigned to it. And the other interesting thing is that so this item can increase my yield farming. So I can provide liquidity to the ecosystem, and by providing liquidity to the ecosystem, I can earn digital tokens. These digital tokens enable me to mint the NFTs that give me my character more power in different games. And so there's a lot of technology underpinning this, from automated market makers, liquidity pools, which are part of AMMs, a yield farming system, which incentivizes people to bring liquidity to the ecosystem, that essentially bootstraps the ecosystem so that they are generating these gaming assets, which they can take into different games. And one of them is pretty unique in that it actually increases your yield farming. So, and this is just one of a few different games that they have. And so, and then, of course, they have this play to earn game, which enables you to play against other players for crypto. So while you're playing against other people, you earn crypto, and you can then sell that crypto, or you can use it to make these NFTs. So this is one of their games. I'm not going to go into it too much, but you're playing against other players, and they essentially eat you, that kind of thing. And your NFTs help you in the games. And so I'm going to stop the demo because as you've seen, there's a lot here. This is something that what we'll do is break down one element at a time in future presentations. So in the future, we'll just talk about a decentralized exchange, providing liquidity to a decentralized exchange, and what that means, what impermanent loss is for providing liquidity, and how to actually do it. So you understand what steps you need to take to be able to participate. And so I'll stop there, and I will open it up to questions.
Cool. Thank you so much, Stephen. Who has any questions? Feel free to click on the Q&A link down below the screen and post your questions. I know some of you must have a few. There is a question, Stephen. What is Dasset doing to prevent the frauds or losses from exchanges?
Great question. So we, based on the data on our platform, we have a lot more people who are victims of scams or fraud than people who are using crypto to buy drugs or child porn or illicit activity. And so we've implemented a number of systems to mitigate this. And a lot of it has to do with certain age ranges of our customers. And so, for example, we've restricted polypay deposits for a number of our customers, and we're essentially implemented a system to build trust with our customer. So somebody who creates an account on our platform, they can't deposit $100,000 on day one via Polypay because we don't really know if the customer is doing it on their own behalf, or they're doing it because a scammer is advising them to do it. And so we've put limits on Polypay, how much you can deposit in the first 30 days, the second 30 days, and 90 days. So you can build up a relationship with the customer, and it's helped really reduce and stop a lot of the fraud on our platform. In addition to that, we are calling customers a lot more frequently to understand their intentions. And it's really none of our business. We don't really care why you're buying cryptocurrency and what you're doing with it. We do care if you are violating our terms of service, where you're giving somebody in Nigeria your bank account access in your bank account, in your Dacid account, and letting them take all your money. And so if we want to make sure that customers are spending their own money, and that they know that the reasons why they're spending their money, and it's for legitimate purposes. And so, yeah, we've also implemented a number of controls that we can't really go into, because it's always a game of cat and mouse with these scammers. And so we can't really tell you all the systems and controls that we have in place to mitigate, but we have seen a major improvements over the last 6 months. We've reduced scams and fraud on our platform by over 95%.
And also building those type of controls does give us a better relationship with bankings and other things. That's great. Another question as well. With all the projects and trends you've covered thus far, which ones do you see blowing up in the next couple of months or the year?
Gaming, absolutely gaming. And it's not just because of crypto, it's external technologies like virtual reality, NFTs, the ability for things like microtransactions with loot boxes, and the ability to reward players, things like esports. So you can compete against other players for cryptocurrency. You can have esports competitions where the rewards are tens or hundreds or even millions of dollars in cryptocurrency. And so I think that's we're seeing that converge. Maybe March, April next year, we're going to start seeing AAA games coming out that are utilizing all these combined technologies, and they're putting the gamer first. They're putting the gamer in the front seat, where the gamer is dictating how the games evolve. And so they're essentially giving a lot more control up into the hands of the gamers. And so I think that's going to be the trend similar to DeFi over the last 18 months.
Nice. Also, another question is what is coming for Dasset? What is do we have any new features coming up in Dasset?
Oh, great question. So we are about to release an auto buy feature. So you can set and forget, buy a set amount of crypto or portfolio of crypto assets, and that's being released in the next week. It's something that's been in high demand for some time, so we're really excited about releasing that. We're also releasing asset pages, so you can essentially do a lot more due diligence on the cryptocurrencies that are trading on Dasset. You can have insights into what the assets actually are and what they're doing. And then a couple of other things I'm happy to talk about: notifications. So get an email notification when a certain trigger happens, like when Bitcoin hits an all-time high, you'll get an email or a text message, or if it passes something like a moving average. So that's a big one. And then the other exciting one is email somebody crypto. So you can email somebody crypto rather than send it to their email or send it to their crypto address.
Nice. There a lot of work cut out for our developers.
Yep.
So that's it. That's all we have for you today. Thank you for joining us on your lunch break to talk about the crypto journey. Before we sign off, I'd like to remind you this crypto journey event will be held every Thursday during your lunch hour at 12:30 p.m. So any last words for you, Stephen?
No, thank you everyone for attending, and look forward to seeing you next week.
See you next week.